What if I told you that one of NATO's biggest military problems, a problem that has cost billions of dollars and still isn't fully solved, was cracked in just 84 days? Not years, not decades. 84 days. And it didn't come from some futuristic AI breakthrough. It didn't require experimental weapons or classified tech from a secret lab. It came from a small Swedish team that looked at what they already had and saw something no one else did. While the world's most advanced armies were struggling to stop waves of cheap drones using multi-million-dollar missiles, this team built a system that flipped the equation entirely, shooting down threats at a fraction of the cost. And when it was finally deployed in a real NATO operation, it didn't just work. It took down 53 drones in 6 months. This system is called LOK, and what it represents isn't just a new weapon. It could be the beginning of a fundamental shift in how modern wars are fought. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this breakthrough might change everything. Over the past few years, warfare has undergone one of the fastest and most dramatic transformations in modern history. And at the center of that transformation is a technology that, until recently, many military planners underestimated. That technology is the drone. What was once seen as a supplementary reconnaissance tool has rapidly evolved into a primary weapon of war, capable of reshaping battlefields, redefining strategies, and exposing critical weaknesses in even the most advanced defense systems in the world. The conflicts in Eastern Europe and the Middle East have made one thing unmistakably clear. Drones are no longer the future of warfare. They are the present. On the front lines, small quadcopters modified from commercial models are being used to drop explosives with surprising accuracy. Behind enemy lines, long-range drones travel hundreds of miles to strike strategic targets such as fuel depots, command centers, and critical infrastructure. Even more concerning is the rise of one-way attack drones, low-cost systems designed to fly directly into their targets and detonate on impact. These drones are cheap to produce, easy to deploy, and devastatingly effective when used in large numbers. A single unit may cost tens of thousands of dollars, but when deployed in swarms, they can overwhelm defenses that were never designed to handle such saturation attacks. This shift has triggered a new kind of arms race, one that is fundamentally different from anything that came before it. In the past, military superiority was often measured by the quality and sophistication of high-end systems such as fighter jets, tanks, and missile defense platforms. Today, however, quantity and cost efficiency have become just as important as technological advancement. Countries are now racing not only to build more powerful drones, but also to build them faster and cheaper. Production lines are being scaled up at unprecedented speeds, and new designs are being tested and deployed in real time, often within months rather than years. However, alongside this surge in offensive drone capability, a second and equally urgent challenge has emerged. How do you stop them? This is where the problem becomes deeply complex and, in many ways, counterintuitive. The existing air defense systems used by advanced military alliances were not designed to counter large numbers of small, low-cost aerial threats. They were built to intercept high-value targets such as cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and advanced aircraft. These systems are incredibly effective at what they were designed to do, but they come with a significant limitation. They are extremely expensive to operate. Consider the economics of interception. A single interceptor missile used by modern air defense systems can cost several $1 million. Now compare that to a drone that may cost as little as $20,000 to $50,000 to produce. The imbalance is immediately obvious. Using a multi-million-dollar missile to destroy a relatively inexpensive drone creates a cost equation that is not sustainable over time. When facing a handful of drones, this approach might still be manageable. But modern conflicts are not defined by small-scale engagements. They are defined by volume. In recent operations, hundreds of drones have been launched in coordinated waves, sometimes within a single night. These swarm tactics are specifically designed to exploit the limitations of traditional defense systems. Even if each drone is individually weak, their collective effect can overwhelm defenses, forcing defenders to expend massive amounts of resources to counter relatively low-cost threats. In such scenarios, the defending side is placed at a severe disadvantage, not because their technology is inferior, but because the economics of the engagement are fundamentally flawed. This realization has forced military planners and defense analysts around the world to rethink their approach. The question is no longer simply how to build better defenses, but how to build defenses that make economic sense. In other words, how can you neutralize a threat without spending more than the threat itself is worth? This concept, often referred to as a workable cost-to-kill ratio, has become one of the most critical challenges in modern defense strategy. The scale of the response to this challenge has been enormous. Governments and defense organizations have poured vast amounts of funding into the development of counter-drone technologies. Research programs have expanded rapidly, and hundreds of companies have entered the field, each attempting to create a solution that is effective, scalable, and affordable. The range of proposed systems is incredibly diverse. Some rely on electronic warfare, using signal jamming to disrupt drone communications. Others focus on kinetic solutions, such as guns and specialized munitions, designed to physically destroy targets. There are also experimental approaches involving directed energy, including laser systems that promise near zero cost per shot once operational. Despite this massive effort, a clear and universally accepted solution has remained elusive. Many systems perform well under specific conditions but struggle in others. Some are effective against individual drones but cannot handle large-scale swarm attacks. Others are cost-effective but lack the range or accuracy needed for real-world deployment. The result is a fragmented landscape of technologies, each addressing part of the problem but none fully solving it. This is the environment in which a new approach was urgently needed. Not a perfect system that would take years to develop, but a practical solution that could be deployed quickly and adapted as the threat continues to evolve. A solution that recognizes the reality of modern warfare, where speed, flexibility, and cost efficiency are just as important as raw technological power. And it is precisely at this moment, when the gap between threat and defense has become impossible to ignore, that an unexpected breakthrough begins to take shape, not through revolutionary new inventions, but through a different way of thinking, a way of looking at existing tools, connecting them in new ways, and creating something that challenges long-standing assumptions about how military systems should be designed, built, and deployed. To understand how this breakthrough became possible, it is essential to look at the company behind it and the philosophy that guided its approach. Saab, the Swedish defense firm responsible for developing the system known as LOK, is not new to building advanced military equipment. Founded in the late 1930s, the company has spent decades producing a wide range of defense systems, from fighter aircraft to ground weapons and radar technologies. However, what truly sets Saab apart is not just its engineering capability, but its consistent focus on practicality, reliability, and real-world effectiveness rather than theoretical perfection. Throughout its history, Saab has developed systems that are designed to work under demanding conditions, often emphasizing cost efficiency and adaptability. Instead of pursuing overly complex or experimental solutions, the company has built a reputation for creating equipment that can be deployed quickly, maintained easily, and integrated seamlessly into existing military structures. This philosophy would prove to be the key factor in solving one of the most pressing challenges of modern warfare. When Saab engineers were confronted with the growing threat posed by drone swarms, they did not begin by asking what new technology needed to be invented. Instead, they asked a much simpler and far more practical question. What do we already have that can solve this problem? The answer lay in two systems that had already been developed, tested, and widely deployed across multiple environments. These were the Giraffe 1X radar and the Trackfire remote weapon station. The Giraffe 1X radar is a compact but highly capable detection system designed to identify small, low-flying targets in complex environments. Unlike older radar systems that rely on mechanical movement to scan the sky, this radar uses electronic beam steering, allowing it to scan faster, track multiple targets simultaneously, and operate with greater reliability due to fewer moving parts. It provides three-dimensional tracking, meaning it can determine not just the direction and distance of a target, but also its altitude. This capability is crucial when dealing with drones, which often fly low to the ground and attempt to blend into background clutter, such as terrain, buildings, and even birds. What makes the radar particularly valuable in a counter-drone role is its sensitivity to what defense specialists describe as low, slow, and small targets. These characteristics define most drones used in modern conflicts. They are difficult to detect, easy to deploy, and capable of approaching from unpredictable angles. The radar can scan a full 360 degrees continuously, updating its picture of the airspace every second. This allows operators to maintain constant awareness, even when facing multiple incoming threats at once. However, detecting a drone is only part of the challenge. Once a target is identified, it must be neutralized quickly and efficiently. This is where the Trackfire system comes into play. Originally designed as a remote-controlled weapon station for naval and ground platforms, Trackfire allows operators to engage targets with high precision while remaining protected. It integrates advanced sensors, targeting systems, and weapon controls into a single unit, providing a seamless connection between detection and engagement. One of the most important features of this system is its stabilized, independent line-of-sight capability. In practical terms, this means that the system can maintain a steady view of the target even while firing. The recoil from the weapon does not disrupt the operator's aim or visual tracking. This stability is critical when engaging fast-moving drones, where even a small loss of tracking can result in a missed shot. The system also incorporates advanced targeting calculations, allowing it to predict where a drone will be in the near future, rather than simply aiming at its current position. This predictive capability significantly increases the probability of a successful interception. The weapon station itself is highly flexible, capable of mounting different types of firearms depending on the mission requirements. These can range from heavy machine guns to lighter weapons, all of which are significantly more cost-effective to operate than missile-based interception systems. In addition to physical weapons, the system can also incorporate electronic warfare components. This introduces a second method of neutralizing drones, not by destroying them, but by disrupting their communication signals or navigation systems. In many cases, this can disable a drone without the need for kinetic engagement, further reducing operational costs. By combining these existing components into a single integrated platform, Saab created a system that offers both detection and response capabilities in one package. More importantly, because all of the core technologies were already in production and widely used, the time required to develop and deploy the system was dramatically reduced. There was no need for years of research and testing. The focus shifted from invention to integration, from building something entirely new to connecting proven technologies in a new and effective way. This approach led to one of the most remarkable aspects of the entire project. The system moved from initial evaluation to operational deployment in just 84 days. In the context of modern defense development, where programs often take years or even decades to reach the field, this speed is almost unprecedented. It was not achieved by cutting corners, but by fundamentally rethinking the development process itself. By relying on existing, battle-tested components, Saab was able to bypass many of the traditional delays associated with design, testing, and certification. The result was not a theoretical concept or a laboratory prototype, but a fully functional system ready for real-world use. It was designed to be modular, meaning it could be adapted and upgraded as new technologies become available. It was also designed for interoperability, allowing it to integrate easily with existing defense networks and command systems. This ensured that it could be deployed quickly within Allied operations without requiring extensive retraining or infrastructure changes. In essence, what Saab achieved was more than just the creation of a new counter-drone system. It demonstrated a new way of thinking about military innovation. Instead of pursuing complexity for its own sake, the focus shifted towards simplicity, speed, and effectiveness. Instead of waiting for perfect solutions, the priority became delivering solutions that work now and can be improved over time. This shift in mindset would soon be put to the test in a real operational environment, where the true value of the system would be measured not by its specifications, but by its performance under real-world conditions. The true measure of any military system is not found in specifications, presentations, or controlled demonstrations, but in how it performs under real-world conditions where uncertainty, pressure, and risk are constant. For the LOK system, that test did not take place in a laboratory or a training exercise. It took place in an active operational environment, where the stakes were real and the threats were not theoretical. This is where the story moves, from innovation to validation. The system was deployed in Poland as part of a NATO mission focused on protecting critical infrastructure and military logistics. The location was not random. It was a strategic hub used for the transfer of military aid into Ukraine, making it a potential target for surveillance, disruption, or attack. In such an environment, the presence of drone threats is not a possibility but an expectation. This created the perfect conditions to evaluate whether a rapidly developed system like LOK could deliver meaningful results when it mattered most. Over a period of 6 months, the system was actively used to monitor and defend the surrounding airspace. During this time, it encountered multiple types of drone threats, ranging from small quadcopters to larger fixed-wing unmanned aircraft. These were not isolated incidents, but repeated engagements that required consistent performance across different scenarios. By the end of this deployment period, the results were both clear and significant. The system had successfully neutralized 53 drones. Among these were 36 quadcopter-type drones and 17 fixed-wing unmanned aircraft. These numbers are important not only because of their scale, but because of what they represent. Each interception is a confirmation that the system can detect, track, and neutralize a target within a limited time window. Each success reflects the effectiveness of the integration between radar, weapon system, and electronic warfare components. And perhaps most importantly, each interception was achieved without relying on expensive missile-based systems, demonstrating that a more sustainable approach to air defense is not only possible, but already operational. Observations from the deployment also revealed something equally noteworthy about the nature of the system itself. It was not a polished, highly refined platform designed for display. It was a practical, working solution built with speed and efficiency as the primary objectives. The radar units were mounted in a straightforward manner, the power systems were functional rather than elegant, and the overall setup reflected a focus on performance rather than presentation. This was not a system built to impress observers at an exhibition. It was built to solve a problem, and in that role, it proved highly effective. However, this pragmatic approach also highlights an important reality. While speed and flexibility are critical in responding to rapidly evolving threats, long-term integration into larger defense structures requires additional refinement. Standardization, durability, and compliance with established military protocols are essential for widespread adoption. As the system moves beyond initial deployment, these factors will need to be addressed to ensure compatibility with broader NATO operations. Yet these considerations do not diminish the significance of what has already been achieved. Instead, they represent the natural next step in the evolution of a system that has already demonstrated its core capabilities. What makes this development truly significant is not just the performance of the system, but the implications it carries for the future of military strategy and procurement. For decades, defense development has followed a predictable pattern. Identify a threat, define detailed requirements, initiate a long-term development program, and eventually produce a system that meets those requirements. This process, while thorough, is often slow and inflexible. By the time a system is fully deployed, the nature of the threat may have changed, requiring further adaptation or entirely new solutions. The success of LOK challenges this model directly. It shows that under the right conditions, it is possible to move from concept to deployment in a matter of weeks rather than years. It demonstrates that existing technologies, when combined intelligently, can produce results comparable to or even exceeding those of newly developed systems. Most importantly, it proves that speed itself can be a strategic advantage. In an era where threats evolve rapidly and unpredictably, the ability to respond quickly may be just as valuable as the ability to respond effectively. Looking forward, the design of the system offers additional advantages that extend beyond its initial deployment. Its modular architecture allows for continuous upgrades and adaptation. New sensors can be integrated as they become available. Additional weapon systems can be added to expand its capabilities. Perhaps most significantly, the platform has the potential to incorporate directed energy technologies in the future. Laser-based systems, once fully operational, could provide an almost zero-cost method of neutralizing drone threats, addressing the economic imbalance that has defined this challenge from the beginning. The system is also capable of operating while in motion, maintaining situational awareness even during redeployment. This ensures that protection is not limited to fixed positions but can be extended to mobile units and dynamic operations. Furthermore, its ability to integrate with existing command and control networks allows it to function as part of a larger, layered defense system, contributing to coordinated responses across multiple units and locations. When viewed in the broader context of modern warfare, the significance of this development becomes even more apparent. The rise of low-cost drone technology has shifted the balance between offense and defense, favoring those who can produce and deploy large numbers of affordable systems. In response, defensive strategies must evolve to match this new reality. High-cost solutions alone are no longer sufficient. What is needed are systems that combine effectiveness with scalability and economic sustainability. The LOK system represents a step in that direction. It does not eliminate the need for advanced missile defense systems, which remain essential for countering high-value threats. Instead, it complements them by addressing a different category of risk. It provides a practical solution for dealing with the growing presence of low-cost drones, filling a gap that has become increasingly difficult to ignore. In the end, the most important lesson may not be about the technology itself, but about the approach that made it possible. By prioritizing speed, practicality, and intelligent integration, it is possible to respond to emerging threats in a way that is both effective and sustainable. In a world where the pace of change continues to accelerate, this approach may prove to be not just useful, but necessary. And if that is the case, then what began as a rapid response to a specific problem may ultimately signal a much larger transformation in how military power is developed, deployed, and understood in the years ahead. What happened here is bigger than a single system, bigger than one deployment, and bigger than one success story. In a world where warfare is changing faster than ever before, where threats evolve in real time and adaptation is no longer optional, the old model of building military power is being pushed to its limits. Years of development, endless testing cycles, and perfect but delayed solutions are no longer enough. Because by the time perfection arrives, the battlefield has already moved on. The LOK proves something simple, but incredibly important. You do not always need something new to change the game. Sometimes, you just need to see what is already there differently. By connecting existing technologies, by prioritizing speed over perfection, and by focusing on real-world effectiveness instead of theoretical superiority, a small team was able to solve a problem that has challenged some of the most advanced military organizations on the planet. And they did it in less than 3 months. That changes the question entirely. It is no longer just about who has the most advanced weapons. It is about who can adapt the fastest, who can build, deploy, and evolve in real time. Because in the age of drones, where low-cost systems can overwhelm billion-dollar defenses, The balance of power is no longer defined by size or budget alone. It is defined by agility, by creativity, and by the ability to respond before the next wave arrives. The LOK is not the final answer to the drone problem, but it may be the clearest signal yet of where the answer lies. And if this approach spreads, if more nations begin to think this way, then what we are witnessing is not just a technological shift. It is the beginning of a new era of warfare, one where speed beats scale, where smart integration beats complexity, and where the ability to act now matters more than the ability to be perfect later. The question is no longer whether this change is coming. The question is, who will adapt in time?